Box cutters on board.
He has a knife.
More details on a flight to Florida which had to be diverted. The Dolphins going for win number 4 in a row, and that's not all.
What an impressive performance by this Miami team.
It came with a shot at ending the weekend in first place. Plus, exotic cars on the shores of South Florida.
I've had this car since 1981.
These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Good morning, South Florida. I'm Julian Davis.
I'm Samantha Gutierrez. Today is Monday, November 14th, 2022.
Live from the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Tension over Taiwan. It was some difficult diplomacy earlier today as President Biden has his first ever sit-down with the leader of China. Eyes on President Biden today as he met face-to-face with Chinese President Xi Jinping for the first time since becoming president.
World leaders are attending the G20 summit today in Indonesia, where they will address issues like the global economy and inflation. Before that, Presidents Biden and Xi met for 3 hours. The United States and China have historically had a tense relationship, with matters like Taiwan and trade wars dividing the nations. In May, President Biden affirmed that he would use military action if China used force to invade Taiwan.
Are you willing to get involved militarily to defend Taiwan if it comes to that?
Yes,
You are.
that's the commitment we made.
President Biden is holding a news conference to go over the key points from that meeting.
Today, Democrats maintain control of the U.S. Senate as votes are finally counted in Nevada. Democratic incumbent Catherine Cortez Masto has defeated Republican challenger Adam Laxalt. It was taken about a week since Election Day to finish counting the votes in Nevada. This means Democrats will have control regardless of who wins in Georgia on December 6th. It's still up in the air who will have control of the House.
Passengers who were diverted during their flight to Florida are at their final destination this morning. The delay was because of 2 box cutters. As the network's Christy Hernandez reports, the Frontier Airlines flight made an unscheduled stop in Atlanta.
Lillian Hoffman was on Frontier Flight 1761 on Friday night heading from Cincinnati to Tampa when she learned something was wrong when one of the passengers brought a box cutter on board the plane, but that wasn't all.
When he went to go to the bathroom, the passenger in the window seat looked at me and said, "Hey, like, he has a knife." And he told me that he was threatening to stab people. We need to go say something to somebody.
Hoffman says she went to tell a flight attendant who said they were going to land.
They ended up telling me that they were going to land the plane immediately, and we were probably down in 20 minutes.
The plane was diverted to Atlanta. This video taken by Hoffman shows Atlanta police removing a suspect from the plane at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. She says this is the man who had the box cutter. Authorities say a second box cutter was found in his carry-on after a search. Frontier Airlines issued a statement that said, in part, no injuries to passengers or crew have been reported. The airline also said the other passengers were taken off the plane and they were booked on another flight for Saturday morning. Aaron Burgess said he was not satisfied. He said his girlfriend Victoria was also on the plane, and he says they're both still in shock.
I don't know how a guy like that gets on a plane. I mean, there's supposed to be so many, barriers to entry onto a plane, and how does that happen? I mean, that's crazy.
A statement from TSA says the situation with Frontier Flight is under investigation with the U.S. Attorney's Office as they are the lead federal agency in the matter. Right now, the FBI is leading the investigation. This is Christy Hernandez with the South Florida Media Network.
Hurricane Nicole, which was a Category 1 storm, is leaving some parts of Florida with more damage than Hurricane Ian. Over the weekend, Volusia County residents started to assess the damage left by Nicole. Areas along the coast like Daytona Beach receiving the most damage. The initial assessments by the county's property appraiser has priced the damage at $481 million.
The Dolphins are the new kings of the AFC East after a blowout victory at home against the Cleveland Browns. Miami surged ahead thanks to Tua Tagovailoa's 3 touchdown passes and never letting up, taking the top spot in the division with their 4th win in a row. The final score was Dolphins 39, Browns 17. The Fins take a week off before facing the Houston Texans on November 27th.
A new November record at the box office.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
I've had this car since 1981, and I've had it at some very unusual events.
Exotic cars having their moments in the sun along Dania Beach. Stick around. We'll be back in just 2 minutes.
If a natural disaster shows up at your doorstep, you can't just turn it away. That's why it's important to prepare for emergencies before they show up. Go to ready.gov/plan to find the tools and tips you need. And make a plan today.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a 4th ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
I was adjusting. Cars by the coast, something exotic for enthusiasts in Broward County. If you listen closely, you can still hear the rumble in Dania Beach this morning.
As the network's Karen Altavilla reports, it was the site of the weekend's 5th annual Exotic Car Show.
Dania Point hosted the 5th annual Exotics Car Show, where people had their luxurious and antique cars on display. There were 250 cars on display that ranged from older Mustangs to McLarens. The car owners were eager to speak about their cool rides.
Car owners brought out their pride and joy to show off to the crowds this past Sunday here at Dania Point. From classic to modern jewels, there was something for everyone.
So I've had this car since 1981, and I've had it at some very unusual events. I had it at a business roundtable meeting where there were 2 presidents of the United States at the event. There was President Bush Sr. and President Bill Clinton, so that's a very cool distinction. I was asked by Ford Motor Company to bring my car to that event, and I also went to Dearborn in 2003 for Ford 100th anniversary, and that was a very cool event to take my car to, with thousands of other Ford vehicles and executives and everybody there to celebrate Ford 100th anniversary in 2003.
For South Florida Media Network, I'm Karen Altavilla.
Sequel Black Panther: Wakanda Forever making history at the box office this weekend. The movie made $180 million on its opening weekend, making it the highest grossing debut movie ever for the month of November. It also had the 2nd best opening weekend of the entire year, making only $7 million less than Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which premiered in May.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Samantha Gutierrez.
And I'm Julian Davis. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.